I know you through music. We met through music, but is music what you do? Is that kind of your full-time gig now?
It is, yeah. It's all performance based, and I got to be uh, careful on taking the right performances in terms of what is coming in income wise.
Mm.
So, but I've been at it 15, 17 years full time. So
You've been a
it's
musician full-time for like 17 years.
yeah, yep.
Wow. Okay.
Where the majority is performance income coming in.
That's impressive. I
I'll
know
do
a lot of
some.
a lot
Oh,
of
go ahead.
musicians hope they're going to get there, right? They get to keep their day job, play on the weekend warrior.
Yeah,
That's pretty impressive.
yeah. It's been fun. It's a grind. To just keep making ends meet, and right when you think you have a good network of venues, a couple of them will close at the same time, and
Mm.
or a couple of them will lower their budgets, or all of that will happen kind of all at once, and then you're like, oh, I gotta find some new places to work with. So this summer, especially, I've been going up to like the Brainerd area, or even down into Iowa, and working with places out of town, just for working with places that have a little bit higher budgets, resort type places, instead of playing in the city very much. So it's kind of a shame where a lot of people will ask, when's your next show in town? And I'm like having to check my own calendar. When is the next in town show? Because they are so few and far between.
Mm.
But right now I do have a couple in town that are coming up pretty quick. So it's nice to be able to promote that to friends and family.
Nice. So, like, how busy are you? You're playing 4 or 5 nights a week, or
There
what's
were
your
some
current rhythm?
weeks in the summer where it was 4 times a week. I try to not work that much more, to just save, the the power and the voice. Try to keep the
Sure.
voice
Sure.
fresh. So I go between 2 and 3 events a week, and then we have the All Star Jam on Wednesdays, so that eats up most of the Wednesdays each month. I shouldn't say eats up. It's my pleasure to be a part of that, but it does end up being on most of the Wednesdays of the month. And then sometimes private events or corporate events will fall in like on a Monday or a Sunday afternoon, that kind of thing. So just finding ways to keep the boat afloat, so to speak.
I like it. Awesome, man. So take me back. Take me back to early Tony. What's the first album you ever owned or that you remember owning?
Uh, I think we're about the same age. We can have fun with the format game. So the first tape I ever acquired myself was White Snake, Slip of the Tongue.
Okay.
And then the first CD I ever purchased on my own was Sepultura's Chaos AD in 1993.
Nice.
Yep, from Best Buy Plymouth, I think it was, or Richfield, one of the two.
I've been working on Refuse Resist jam with a friend of mine at one of the jams.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. Nice.
So you know that album pretty
I
well.
know that album pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been I started a modest vinyl collection recently, because vinyl is kind of back and almost bigger than ever. But I found that in a record shop in South Dakota recently, and I just had to have it, despite its price. I'm like, oh, I gotta have this.
How much did it cost? Can I ask?
$32.
Okay. Yeah. That's not cheap.
No,
Not when you can download all the music for with a $10 a month subscription or whatever.
right? Yeah, the subscription game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just had to have that particular one, and that's really all I'm interested in vinyl, is having my favorite albums of all time on vinyl. Like I have like 62 records at this
Did you
point.
get the White Snake album as well? Is that on vinyl yet?
It's on my list, but
Okay.
we'll see if I end up finding that for the right price.
What was your favorite song off the White Snake album?
Oh, I suppose the last one on it is called Sailing Ships. So that particular record has Steve Vai playing all the guitars on it, because Vandenberg got hurt in a car accident and couldn't do it, but the record label was like, we need an album. So they brought in Steve Vai to do all the guitar parts.
He's an
So
all right guitar player.
yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad, if you're into that. No, so I didn't even really know what was what at the time when I got the tape, just being a young buck at the time. But I knew the guitar stuff on it was out of this world, and then soon came to know who Steve Vai was, and that he wasn't the original, you know,
Mm.
and not that Vandenberg was the original Whitesnake guitar player either, but not the main cat that played in that group. But you kind of learn that stuff through the years on your favorite albums, right?
So are you one of those? Are you the type of person you buy an album and you open up the catalog and you kind of look it through and you really learn the people that are behind the scenes and really they're almost like your sports heroes?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You could absolutely consider it that way. I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to sink my teeth back into vinyl of my favorite albums, so I could go back and look at the tangible media of it. Spotify is fun for creating a playlist, or you're learning songs for a jam or whatever. It has its uses for better or for worse because they don't pay very well, but that's one thing I miss from what music is in this current era, is there just isn't a lot of tangibility to it. And so I do love the being able to hold an album and look at the lyrics, look at the liner notes. I want to know how the album was recorded and who twisted knobs on it and who did the mastering of it, even though I'm sure I don't know their name, but I'd like to look at that stuff, see who the art is by, And as we kind of head into this weird AI atmosphere, who's the real artist behind this, or is there one?
Yeah, and I think even the experience of really getting to know an album from end to end and all the tracks that are, some people call deep tracks, right? That unless you grew up in the era where you actually listen to the entire album from start to finish, you probably don't even know, 30% of what's on there.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, and I still am truly an album listener. I know a lot of the younger generation are skippers or
single song.
Yep.
Listen
Pull
to
up
the
a
good
particular song and then look for another different song that you get reminded of during the first song. But no, I got to put the album on and pretty much listen to the whole album.
What's the best album in your opinion from front to back? Or a couple of them if you can't think of one.
Gosh, the first one that comes to mind is The Wall, Pink Floyd. That's just such a fun listen because it is a concept album.
It's an experience.
Yeah. I suppose that, in the same breath, another concept album that I love is Operation Mindcrime, Queensryche. So those are two that come to mind. I guess the third is one of the early-ish to mid Dream Theater albums, Scenes from a Memory in '99. That also is a concept album, but it's the kind of album where even more than other albums, you kind of have to listen to it start to finish, just so you can sink yourself into the story of it.
Pretty cool. All right, so take me back to young Tony again, and then start bringing me forward. Like, how did you get into music? Why did you get into music? What influenced you to get in? And then kind of like to just walk me down the path, man.
Sure. I mean, music is the gift I was born with. I kind of knew from an early age that I just, to some degree, even before I started learning what theory was or whatever, I just kind of understood it to some extent, like singing harmonies in the car at 7 or 8 years old, like, oh, this is a fun note to sing. But I think the real turning point was, I think when we're all kind of coming up in middle school and into high school, we're like, we're going to be a baseball player or a football player, or we have athletic dreams, right? I ended up breaking my leg on the football field my freshman year, and being kind of laid up with a full leg cast after surgery to fix that was the real catalyst to just sink myself into the guitar and really learn that instrument. I also had like a little tiny 1.5 octave keyboard that I would mess around with that I got for Christmas one or 2 years before that. So, but that was the real moment where things, I think, turned, where like maybe football isn't for me, and this guitar thing seems to really be a lot of fun.
How old were you then?
13, 14.
Okay.
14, I would say.
It's like a 7th grade-ish sort of time in your life?
Yeah, 9th grade was when the injury happened.
Okay.
But and I had been playing some guitar before that, but I think that's when it really took over. Like, I turned a corner, I think, in learning that instrument. And in 10th grade is when the first real band started coming together. And
What was the
then
name of the band?
that was Lord of All Desires.
Okay.
I had one
what
in
kind of
ninth.
music?
I had one in ninth grade. It was a
Did you?
three-piece, but it didn't really do much. I was trying to play some drums in that band, but yeah, when Lord started coming together, I met the guys when I was 14, heading into age 15 year, and then by 15 into age 16 year, we had a practice space and a full lineup by the time I was just about 16, and we were doing our first show at Ryan's in St. Paul, and Joe was our first sound guy. We just mentioned his name.
Steinbauer?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Way back then.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. So he was a sound guy pretty much for the longest as well, it seems like, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't obviously know him before that, but I understand that he had been doing sound for quite a few years even before I had met him
Okay.
in 97. So
Impressive. So
yeah,
what happened to that band?
we
What kind of music was it, by the way?
it was dark, heavy, symphonic metal.
Okay.
You would classify it as like a black metal type of sound.
Okay.
So influences at the time were Emperor, Cradle of Filth, another Norwegian band called Dimmu Borgir.
Yeah.
Yep. Arcturus was a recent favorite as that band was coming together, and I was really enjoying their first real album, Asperheim Symphonia. Just so symphonic and had classical influence, and just piqued my interest in all the ways. So we were writing, and we on the cheap put a 5-song EP together called Crowned in Blasphemy. We had a song by that same name on there, and that ended up kind of being our calling card song, the song that people would ask for at every show, kind of a thing. We did a full-length album in 99 that was released through Root of All Evil Records, based out of St. Paul here. Earl Root started that label, and he also ran Root of All Evil Records record store out of St. Paul. And he was a huge influence on me, musically, socially. He was just a great dude. And in 2008 he experienced some health issues as well, and it was no longer with us after that. But just a great dude, and an idol to be able to look up to in those years. We did a demo in 2000 and wanted to release that in 2001, but around that time there were a couple of lineup changes, and by that time I think the bulk of us were just kind of like, it was a good run, but after 4.5 years, I think we all kind of thought it was best to just kind of let it go. I think we announced a hiatus on our website, but I think we all kind of knew we weren't gonna come back to it. Our guitar player had moved away. Our drummer was thinking about moving back to Arizona, where he's from, Tucson, and at that point, I'm like, it had been kind of an ordeal just to keep things afloat for that long, and I just kind of wanted to let it go and maybe experience some other things in life. I was just 20 when the band ended. So
how many people were in the band at that stage?
It was a 5-piece most of the time.
Okay.
Ended up being a 4-piece the last year and a half. And then I think the last couple shows we did as a 3-piece, guitar, bass, and drums. And then, that was really kind of it.
And what were you doing in this band? You were the guitar?
I was doing guitar and singing.
And singing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So you got black metal chops in you as well, huh?
Yeah, doing the screechy, kind of screamy vocal thing.
Okay.
And also kind of on the side trying to figure out how to sing effectively. And it took a long time to really feel like I had good real vocal chops. I'm still kind of learning in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a great singer myself, but I understand it is an instrument. It does take many years of mastery, and then even when you think you've mastered it, there's still more to learn. So,
Yeah. I don't know that I'll ever get to the point of feeling like I've mastered it, but it became part of the arsenal. Like, sure I can sing now. Um, but like at our jam nights, it's fun to be able to jump in on harmonies on songs. I'll look at Moga, and if he's not singing harmonies, I'm like, fine, I'll do it.
nice. Or
Mm-hmm.
on the drums. So what is it that you can't play, Tony? Is there any instruments out there that you haven't tried yet?
Well, that's
The
nice of you to
table
say.
saw, maybe?
I'm really bad at the violin.
At the
I have
violin?
a violin, and I got one in my late teen years. I just never pursued it passionately with all the other music stuff going on. I will maybe once a year take it out and you know bow around on it a little bit, but it's really pretty awful. So there it is, the violin.
The violin.
Mm-hmm.
Not a checklist. Not into checklist.
Not a great
Not
instrument
yet.
from me.
Cool. So what do you do now? Like mostly what's your thing out there? You were in a band. Did you get into other bands along the path?
Sure, yeah.
Did you tour? I mean, and then kind of what's your gig now?
Yeah, I first time I did a tour as a performer was in 99. I had met a different band at the Milwaukee Metal Fests that had been happening then. It is back now again, like a new iteration.
I didn't even know that it was that old, but it wasn't that old. It actually kind of went out and came back.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. I'm trying to put a time frame on when it might have started. I want to say like 88 or 89 or 90, but by the time 97 was the first one that I went to, 98 was the first one that I played, and then I met this band in 99. I saw that same band again at the same Milwaukee Metal Fest. It was at a different venue than the year prior, but I had noticed that they were a three-piece that year, and I'm like, what happened to your other guitar player? They're like, oh, we just lost him, and we have this big tour coming up, so I'm not sure what we're going to do. And I'm like, well, if you need a player, I'd be happy to sit in with you guys. So
what kind of music was this?
Similar genre.
Okay.
That kind of melodic, precise, progressive metal, guitar-driven metal stuff. You could refer to it as black metal or like a blackened death metal kind of a thing. They had a little bit of thrash influence as well, but they were the opener on a 4-band tour with a death metal band out of Florida, and then co-headliners Dimmu Borgir, that Norwegian black metal band, and Sumail, kind of an industrial metal band from Switzerland. And so I did join them for 25 dates of that tour. And it was a very eye-opening and interesting experience. I wanted to, right when I got back, I wanted to try to experience that with my own group or groups. I did have another band at the same time as Lord called Pentagoria. It just didn't play out that often. I played drums in that group. But when I got back from that tour, I'm like, now I want to try to get my groups out there. But I could never get the collective to be able to put everything on hold so that we could all go out, It's a hard thing to get everybody on the same page and to get to want to do those same kinds of things.
What did you enjoy about the touring?
Just the traveling, the uniqueness of being in a different town every day, seeing a different crowd every night, experiencing the songs for the first time, at least from my perspective. It was really neat, really eye-opening.
So have you toured again after that? Then I know you're trying to get those two bands to go out and do something, but did you get a chance to do it a little bit later?
Really from then and up until pretty much now, the groups that I was a full-time member of were more the weekend warrior type groups, and so we never did those true, if I always thought in my mind, if you're sleeping in your bed at the start of it or at the end of it and you've only done 2 or 3 shows, it's not a tour. You'll see on social media nowadays, people will announce their whole summer calendar and it's weekends, but they call it, here's our summer tour. And I go, it's not really, you're not really touring. doing that. But now, you know, it has changed in the way that a lot of bands now are doing fly date type tour dates. Like Quiet Riot is the first one that comes to mind, where they'll do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or sometimes just Saturday, Sunday, but they're flying for every show, and they don't do the traditional land tour in a tour bus with a trailer on it and going town to town to town that way. But yeah, it's I suppose in some ways it's changed some. I did work as crew on a couple of runs. Last year, I was working for a band called Armored Saint, helping do their shows as they were opening for Queensryche, which was super fun in a couple of different ways. So my very first concert was Anthrax in '93 at Roy Wilkins with White Zombie and Quicksand, and the singer of Anthrax is John Bush. Well, he came from the band Armored Saint, and he eventually left Anthrax to go back to the band Armored Saint. And so when that opportunity came up, I'm like, you know, this is kind of a full circle moment for me to enjoy being in that same kind of sphere, you know, with the guy that I saw as my first concert. So
That's pretty amazing.
and then I'd always loved Queensryche, and so it was kind of a you know, two birds, one stone sort of a thing, where both those kind of fun little tidbits were part of the same package. And then just this year, I ended up working with Marty Friedman, who used to play with Megadeth.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he just did a quick 4-week thing, and it was just the right amount of time to be gone.
Okay, short tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, but perfect tour.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. So what did you do with Marty? What was your role there?
I helped handle his drummer.
Okay.
So I was teching for his drummer.
Nice.
So he left Megadeth around 2000, 2001, and he moved to Japan, and so he has a full Japanese band
Is that right?
that he plays with now. Yeah. So
Okay.
really amazing people. Had so much fun with them on the bus for 4 weeks, and we'll still send Instagram notes back and forth, because they're still out there, doing shows all over the world, and experiencing some fun international travel and whatnot. And it's fun to keep tabs on what they're up to now.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what are your weeks and days like now? Like what's Tony's schedule usually like? What are you up to?
There's a lot of admin stuff during the week, just keeping the website up to date, scheduling, emailing with venues, putting together marketing material for shows. And then the weekend will come, and it's 2 or 3 events most of the time. Occasionally I'll get private events in there where I do keep those dates on the site so that people know that I do them.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there aren't a lot of us, I'm not promoting them like, hey, come to this private event. That's it doesn't quite work that way, but I do want people to know, because that is a type of event business that I would like to try to get more of.
Sure.
So yeah, just try to keep things fresh and as exciting as I can. I'm grateful that the festival in Queen Creek, the weekend before last, came up kind of last minute and happened, and I was super thrilled to be a part of that one. So hope to find more opportunities like that.
Absolutely. So what for our audience, for people who might be watching, wanting to hire you, like what do you do? What's your show?
Yeah. So
what sort of music can you do, etc.?
Yeah, it's on the music, on the live performance side, it's a live looping solo performance. The type of songs can be negotiated, right? Like, so if they want more of a background thing, we can keep it more kind of mellow, and adult contemporary is kind of a background thing for your event. If you want it to be the focal point of the event, then we can keep it super high energy and upbeat, where I'm creating mini sets of songs in the same genre and keeping things moving and fresh and engaging. I also leverage a QR code request system that I think you've seen, where you can pull up song list on your phone and be like, oh, I want to hear A Perfect Circle, and
That's pretty slick.
select that and zap it over to me. I've got my phone on my mic stand, which that shows up as a text, and I can be like, oh, Bill wants to hear 3 Libras from A Perfect Circle, and
That's pretty
this
slick.
one goes out to Bill and his wife tonight.
I like it. Cool.
Yeah, so it can be, more of a background thing. It can be more of a foreground. I'm entertaining your group for the night, and then I also do some DJing on the side. So if they want to add that element of a dance party to their night, then we can incorporate that as well.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. You work with a lot of event organizers now? Is that kind of how you get your gigs?
Yeah, I'm trying to get in touch with as many as I can.
Awesome.
To pass them my card, tell them to try to have this kind of conversation, and have them check out my site. Well, both sites actually. The one that's got the performance dates on them and all the video, demos, if you will, or examples of what it is that I do. The one is imtw.com, and the other is twsounds.com.
Okay, cool. Cool. Before we started this thing, we talked about stories, and you had some great stories to tell. So tell me a story, Tony. Tell me something interesting in the world.
Where should we start?
Maybe at the beginning.
I was thinking about how to describe like different eras of like the musical history, right? After the Lord band, I took a year and a half off, and then started putting together what would become Staija, Staija, which was a little bit more in the active rock genre, a little bit more 93X-ish for somebody that is familiar with the active rock station here in the Twin Cities. But that group, thanks to somebody, the promotions director at 93X, we had the opportunity to do a direct support slot for Marilyn Manson, not just for one show, but 2 shows. The first night was in Fargo, and the second night was at the Orpheum Theater here in Minneapolis.
Wow.
But I think the fun part of the story is we had just acquired a conversion van, and I think it was a 1990 or 91 year van. It doesn't even matter what type it was, but we had our trailer on there, and it had hung in there for a couple of shows, but on this particular day, it was not going to hang in there. It petered out just south of Fergus Falls, which is maybe about 2/3 of the way up to Fargo on the day of the show. And we were like, what happens next? So I had the contact info for the radio station up there. So I called them, and I'm like, so here's the deal. We're on the side of the road. We're trying to come up for this amazing show, and we're stuck. And those 2 guys came down in an Oldsmobile Bravada, so like a Chevy Blazer type, which had a trailer hitch on it, and they picked up us in our trailer. The problem was there were 8 of us that were in the van, 5 in the band, and then sound guy and 2 crew, and so 4 of us had to ride in the trailer on top of the gear up to Fargo. So I actually have still have some videos on my computer of that experience where
all right, you're going to share one of those with me.
We're just bouncing around on our gear in the back of the trailer, like this is the rock star life.
Was it an open trailer, not an enclosed one?
It was definitely an enclosed trailer.
Okay.
But still bounce around on top of gear. Not the most comfortable ride.
I bet.
But there just wasn't room for everybody in the Bravada, so we definitely needed to improvise. We got to the Fargo Civic Center, which is where the show was, just as doors were opening. So it was the most rushed load in and set up, and not even a sound check. It was line check and go. And the minute we were ready to go, dripping with sweat from all the activity, it was go time. And I think we only had to shave off one song from our set just with all the chaos that went on. But we put on what we thought was a great show, and enjoyed Manson's show that night, and made a mess in the backstage area, and then we ended up.
How many people in the crowd that night, if you had to make a guess at it?
Oh, I know the venue held 3,500. I want to say it was close to a sellout, but not quite. So I'd love to think by the time we were done, it was close to 3,000 people
Wow.
at that show. And yeah, and they were a ravenous crowd. So we ended up getting that van fixed that morning at a shop near Fergus, and we got dropped off with our trailer at the shop, and the van was ready to go, and we drove back down to the cities the next afternoon and got to the show just in time to load in and do show number 2 at the Orpheum.
Nice.
And it was just us, and it was just Manson. It was really a unique opportunity.
That is
They
awesome.
had support, but that band had bus trouble, and so they couldn't make the Fargo or the Minneapolis shows. They had to drop off.
Wow.
So
Pretty
the
cool,
radio
man.
station got the call, and then we were the ones that I'm sure there were other bands that got the call, but we were the ones that responded, I think, the fastest, and we ended up getting that show. That was April of 2004. So just to put a date stamp on it.
Yeah.
One of our buddies from town here, Mark Chaucy, was playing guitar with Manson at the time. He wasn't in the band a super long time, but he was in the band at that time during that era. So it's kind of a fun little tidbit to see him backstage and, rub elbows with him and a bit of the Manson guys.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, let's take it a different direction for me. What other stories do you have for me?
When Lord was happening, we were a little bit in the so much in the underground realm that I wasn't as much paying attention to what was happening in the more mainstream realm. And I mean, you could make the argument that Head Charge didn't come up in the mainstream, but maybe the underground, but maybe just they were part of a different scene, and so I didn't exactly have the my fingers on the pulse of that. But as Stasia started coming up in 2002, Head Charge was already definitely making their mark in the music world with their War of Art album and Rick Rubin and American Recordings and that whole thing. In fact, Alex was the singer of Stasia. You could argue he was quite strongly or heavily influenced by Cameron, the vocalist from Head Charge. So I think in some ways Alex wanted to try to emulate pieces of Cameron's vocal style. Not trying to be I'm not saying he's trying to be a copycat, but
Right.
I think he
just
found
learning some
influence
technique.
in what Cameron was doing. And I know Cameron had always talked about being influenced by guys like Mike Patton from Faith No More. But yeah, I mean, just kind of watching them closely from 2002 to 2005, 06 and beyond. I mean, they definitely really put their mark on the heavy music realm. Touring with all the big names from the active rock world, Slipknot probably the most prominently, and actually through that, our drummer Dane ended up doing a project with a couple of the Head Charge guys and a couple of the Slipknot guys, one of which was called FOR. They did some recording downtown Minneapolis. And through that connection, we ended up getting the opportunity to do some shows in Des Moines and actually stay at the bass player's place in Des Moines, in Johnston, Iowa, one of the nicer suburbs down there. So I suppose there's your story. We spent was it three different show nights staying at Paul's place in Des Moines, in the greater Des Moines area. I think I saw him one of the times. He very much was a private guy and wanted to keep to himself. So I think he came down one of the nights and was like, don't eat the last of anything, but, my house is your house, so have fun and don't break anything. and that was really well, I did see him at the studio a different time, but really the one and only times I had talked to him. And then he, of course, passed as well. 8, 9, 10 years ago now. But yeah, was an interesting experience back then to enjoy a night with or in the home of somebody who had done really well in music, had a really gorgeous home, and he was obviously very nice to be able to share it with us.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. So you play music, you're performing a lot, and from what I understand, you also write music. Tell
Mm-hmm.
me a little bit about that. What are you working on? What have you worked on?
Yeah.
Where has that taken you?
Yeah. I released. I had always wanted to do a solo record where I was, my songs, and I was playing all the parts on it. So I just worked with a buddy that is a producer and an expert level mixer, and so it was just he and I in studio. Um, did some demo stuff, and then did the drums, did the bass, did the guitars, vocals and keys, and some other production elements. And then wham, there was a 4-song EP that was done. That the EP is called Destined to Be Real, and was super proud of it when that came out in 2012. Not long after that, I ended up joining the Chris Hockey Band and was pretty focused on trying to get that band to level up and succeed.
They're still
And,
around, right?
they do still play. I left in 19, so after 5.5 years, I wanted to focus on my own music again. So I tell that story because I did take kind of a break from focusing on my solo stuff, and that was where my focus was, and efforts was effort juice was placed into. But then towards the end of my tenure with the hockey group, I started writing again and started recording again, and very slowly and but surely put together another solo album. So now I do have another solo record that is fully mixed, fully mastered, artwork is done, and now I'm trying to figure out the best strategy for release. The 8-song album is called Estivation, and there's one
Estivation.
Estivation. Yep.
Okay. What does that mean?
It means coming out of hibernation, basically.
Okay.
So I thought it was appropriate for taking 8, 9, 10, 12 years between solo releases. But yeah, really just trying to figure out what is the best and most effective way. I would love to team up with a label of sorts for distribution, so that way, instead of it being solely on me to like push social media and all of that, they already have this distribution channels in place, and we can kind of team up on doing the right release the right way.
And what's the music genre? Like, what are we gonna expect from this album?
Sure. So the first EP from 2012 has more of a heavier rock. I wouldn't call it metal. Maybe darker alternative kind of a vibe. And now the most recent, soon-to-be release has a little more electronic influence. You could say maybe touches of industrial at times, but still in that kind of darker indie alternative realm.
Have you seen Tron Ares yet?
I have not seen it, but I have listened to the Nine Inch Nails soundtrack.
So fantastic.
The music is superb. When that first single hit, I'm like, oh, here we go. Yeah. This is authentic.
He doesn't let you off the hook. They don't let you off the hook for the whole movie. It's like just pumping. It really is. I think it. Sometimes a great musician or a great videographer, the best thing you could do is for people to not even know you're there. Right? It's so appropriate.
Yep.
I'd say it crosses the line of being very there, but it's so fucking fantastic.
Oh, nice.
It guides you through the movie.
Cool.
It is definitely one of the stronger parts of the film.
Is it the kind of movie where you need to have seen the first Tron?
Not at all.
No, it's a standalone. It's a
very contained story, maybe even a little bit cookie cutter in the storyline overall. It's not something where you're going to walk out and say, wow, that was the best film I've ever seen, but it's very well done. Graphics are very well done.
I'm sure the effects are incredible.
Yeah. What's his name? Jared Leto, who is not always the best lead guy, actually does a really strong job in this movie, I think. I think it's probably his best acting I've ever seen.
Sure. How do you feel about, it's a bit of a left turn, but how do you feel about 30 Seconds to Mars?
I really like 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yeah?
I really do, yeah. I actually would like to cover some of their songs. What about you?
Right on. when that first album hit, I thought it was really good, really cool, and a little, I shouldn't say a little, quite a different take on melodic rock stuff. Yeah, I really liked it. The second album and then beyond didn't capture me as much. It kind of felt like more of the first. So maybe a little repetitive that way. Just my own opinion.
I love what their drummer does. I like when a drummer takes what could be very straightforward and just kind of approaches it slightly differently. And I can't really pinpoint exactly what he does, but
Right.
he just has slightly different takes on how he does the fills and how he transitions from one part to the other. And yeah, I've really that's all I hear when I hear music. Is I hear the drums. So
Yeah, I feel you, man. I get home from shows sometimes and I'm literally singing beats, you know, and
right.
it just, the beat won't leave my brain, and I can't, I'll be like, shut up, Tony, stop it. And some nights I just can't stop with
That's a mark of a good show, though.
with
It stays
the
with you when you
beats.
go home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes they do stick with you. Yeah, I'll have to check that movie out though.
I think it's well worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's well worth it. Didn't have the strongest opening weekend, they say, but it's, and you read the reviews, some people are talking about the crappy story or it's not that, but it was a well done story. It just wasn't a story that you couldn't predict, taking the path that it took. But
Sure.
actors were good, graphics were amazing, and yeah. And evidently, I saw in the end credits that Atticus and Resner were the two F-35 pilots that were fighting in the movie as well. I was like, that's so cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they got to make a cameo. I didn't. You never knew it was them, but they put it in the credits. And I'm like you, I watch the end credits a lot in films because I want to see like who did this,
Who did
and,
what? Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep. I'm always interested in the song choices. I mean, you'll notice a cover song if it's a popular song, right? But but a lot of the time I'm like, oh, who did that song in that one scene? And I'm always watching for who's writing what, and then who produced it or whatever,
Yeah.
What was I watching recently on TV? A Goofy movie, and I'd never watched it before, but there was a song that came on and I'm like, this sounds exactly like Prince. And sure enough, Prince's producer produced all the music for that, but it just had that sound, and I had to wait till the credits came up to confirm it.
Verify, huh?
Yep.
Awesome.
Who knew?
Yeah.
A Goofy movie. I'll watch anything.
Well, I like that now it seems in more modern films and even popular TV shows, like Lioness on Paramount Plus, if you've seen that one. Anyways, they grab a bunch of like new modern music and they're actually like putting Nine Inch Nails in or Nirvana, and you're like, so they're my stuff in the middle, because it used to be all this, Hans Zimmer's amazing, right? It can compose anything, and he's in like every major Hollywood film for many years.
Yeah,
it's not my music, right? It's something different.
Yeah.
So when they fill in a scene that way, I think it's quite neat.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Yeah, the original versus cover thing is interesting in pop culture. There's and you've seen the trend. I mean, there are so many tribute bands now making a career playing one band's music or one type of like genre of music.
Yeah,
like yacht rock. Could that be a larger music genre right now? I don't think it could be any more popular than it is right now.
Right.
Like it's just exploded on the scene as a tribute act.
Yeah. There's these AI versions of songs that have been created. They call it fake music or something like that. It is. They're literally taking like AC/DC and making it like 70s funk, and it is so cool, man. Like big horns, and they're just really nailing that downbeat. Which AC/DC is so strong at anyways. Just kick snare through the whole thing for 7 albums, if you will. But
exactly,
yeah, it lends itself so well when you've got those big funky horns and your soul singer over the top of it. So if you haven't looked any of that up, you should, man. There's some really, really interesting and fun covers of covers.
Right on.
Yeah. How do you feel about the tribute band thing and the whole trend going that direction?
Oh, I mean, if you're finding a way to make ends meet that way, awesome. I'm definitely one that plays covers at shows a lot of the time, and I would never criticize someone for covering other music. Even when I was in the hockey band and we would do, Country Fest or Country Jam or any of these festivals, a lot of the country acts that aren't like really, really established, like the main headliners, they're playing a crap ton of covers at their shows. I'll never forget seeing Lindsay Ell for the first time, Canadian artist. She played like 80% covers during her set, and I'm like, what's happening in country music now? And I don't know if it's genre specific, like it's only happening in the country world, because I don't think rock bands are doing that as much. But it was very interesting to see a lot of the more regional or less huge national acts are doing a lot more covers to try to draw people in.
So here's an interesting thing that you see out in Minnesota, and I'm sure in every music market that exists, right? You've got such a separation of people that are out there doing like original music versus people that are out there doing like cover music. And, you never really see a lot of shows where they kind of cross paths. What are your thoughts on that? Like, why does that happen? And is it a good thing, bad thing? What's Tony W's take on it?
I think they're different crowds. So, I mean, the next question I'm thinking of is how do you effectively combine those crowds? I don't know the answer to that, or the best way to try to do that, or strategize to piece them together. Some of these like localish music festivals, maybe it's a one-night thing, but you have a stage over here that has tribute acts and cover acts, but then you have a different stage over here that has original stuff, but it's in the same area, and so perhaps there is some intermingling going on. But I think you are catering to for two different crowds. Yeah, it's an interesting thought. I've been in both worlds at one point or another, so I'm not. I wouldn't say like one is great and the other sucks or anything.
Right.
They're two different factions of music playing to two different crowds, to be redundant, and they have their place in the music world. So,
well, it's interesting because you brought up the fact of the country fest. You've seen a lot of country singers playing, up to 80% covers or whatever. And I know that in a couple of the bands that I've been in, where we're writing original music, we always felt like we needed to have at least a swath of covers in there. So, play them every couple of songs to keep the crowd, I don't know, engaged, if you will.
Right. I do the same thing with my original shows. I will play at least one familiar song. Be it one maybe off the beaten path a little bit. It's not going to be Highway to Hell or Friends in Low Places or anything like that. Like, it'll be something a little bit off the beaten track, but familiar enough to try to, engage those that may not have been seized to pay attention the entire time.
All of us with short attention spans.
Well, we all have a very distracting device in our pockets.
This is true, right? Yeah.
And it's easy to get sucked into that sometimes, especially if you're, getting triggered by a text message or a Facebook notification. What if you're at a show and you're getting messages from Tony Williams saying, "Hey, let's do a podcast,"
Yeah, it could be.
And then you're stuck looking at your phone because something else on Facebook stole your attention.
Facebook. And it's funny. I've had some other guests on some other podcasts, and we've gotten into talking about how the younger generation obviously is. I mean, one, do they get to experience the full album experience? And I don't think they even know what they're missing without having to like put a tape in and flip it over or listen to it in CD. And you've got this kind of ebb and flow between tracks that really kind of brings you in. I think a lot of artists are not creating that way anymore. And then a lot of the younger generation, my kids, don't even know that could have been a thing. They don't know what they're missing from that experience. So, yeah. What do you think about that?
There are a few questions in there to try to tackle. First, what does the younger generation even think about exploring live music? Like, what would their driver be to explore live music, and in what capacity? Is it to be a rock star? Is it to be a YouTube star? Right, because social media is so prevalent in the discovery of new music. are they gonna want to try to make a living at it? I would advise them to maybe not do that because it's really hard. Yeah, it's an interesting thought. Something that I'm I just touched on talking about the new album that isn't out yet is I've been engaging other people in the conversation of what is the best strategy for releasing music, and it's interesting how no one is confident in what the right way is, and I would love to have a conversation with someone who is confident about what the right way is, but I think we're all just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. So, that's an interesting point as you bring up young people and what their thoughts are on new music that's coming out. I wonder what their opinion would be on, music discovery and the best way for music discovery. I'm sure they would talk about TikTok and YouTube, maybe Spotify playlists, right at the top. But I wonder if there were any thoughts there.
It's a relatively new phenomenon, right? That we have kids who have not really ever even played live shows that are playing live on YouTube, sharing their stuff, gaining enough of an audience. That way they become, Meghan Trainor, I think, is one particular artist I can think of that started out on YouTube and became,
Really?
Yeah.
See, I don't know that enough about her story.
Pop level, there's another, Elise Trudeau, I think is her name. Another one that she does like covers. She does like mashup covers of like the Police. She's got nice style,
Right.
It's really interesting music. But
she
played drums evidently with Metallica at a show. She's found her way through. So it's interesting to see that new thing happening, right? Because the new is always going to be new, right? We're never going to know really what to predict or how to control it. But once it starts to happen, you can kind of follow the path.
Yeah, how are new artists being discovered right now? Is it on Spotify? Is it on TikTok?
Yeah, I don't know.
It becomes a TikTok trend from a type of, a dance move video or a challenge video.
Right.
Like Ice Bucket Challenge. I know it's like 8 years old now, but I'm dating myself. But yeah.
We are doing an Ice Bucket Challenge today. Did I tell you that?
Oh, really?
Part of the podcast. So, yeah. See, I got a magic button under the table here.
Excellent. Don't hit that one. That's the one that drops you into the alligator pit. Wrong button.
Cool.
Anything else you want to cover, my friend?
I don't think so, man. I think that was great. I think we about wrapped it up. Unless there's anything else that you were thinking of that you wanted to share that I haven't given you the opportunity to do so yet.
I'm just looking for new music experiences. It's been such a treat being a part of the Ziggy's All-Star Jam on Wednesdays and meeting so many players of different skill levels and coming from all different walks of life. But I'm just I'm grateful to be able to share the stage with so many different people and have different music experiences with these people and just outside of the jam, I did want to make sure to mention the jam just as something that I'm grateful to be a part of, but also having additional unique music experiences with different people out there. So I'm pretty open-minded and as long as my ducks are in a row, schedule-wise and income-wise, that I'm hoping to try some new things, drumming with this ensemble over here, or maybe playing some guitar or some keys with this ensemble over here. But maybe doing a little more guesting or even subbing in bands that are out there, having a good time with performance.
Cool, man. Thanks so much for coming out and being a part of this.
Of course. Thank you, my friend.
Oh, last question before you leave.
Yes.
Ask everybody this question.
Yes.
Who's next? Who should be nominated to be next on my show?
Maybe John Sonic.
Okay. The question has been asked, so we'll see. Now that you said it on video, he's got no choice. He's got to come.
Maybe John Stunner Magnuson.
Okay. Yeah.
You guys can do a podcast trade.
A podcast about a podcast. Yeah.
You can do a podcast trade.
Yeah. No, I'd love to have him on.
Yeah. I think those are the first two names that come to mind.
All right, John and John. I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tony.
All right, brother.
Yeah.